Hi folks, Jamie from jrr.yoga here to lead you through a short, all-level friendly practice. Starting for your practice today, we'll be seated. So sit on the floor, on a chair. If you are seated on the floor and sitting upright is a little bit uncomfortable, you can sit on a block like I'm doing, or you can sit on the edge of a folded blanket. Just getting those hips a little bit higher than the knees will make it a little bit more comfortable to sit with your body and your spine in an upright position. Once you find your comfortable seat, let your eyes come closed. Drop that chin towards your chest just a tiny bit. Make sure your hands are supported by your legs, or if you're sitting in a chair with arms, on the arms of the chair, just so they don't have to hold themselves up, so the shoulders get to relax a little bit. Here, think about grounding your seat, so sitting with your weight evenly through both sides of your seat, growing length in your spine nice and tall, tucking that chin ever so slightly to lengthen the back of the neck in a continuation of the spine. And bring your awareness to your breath. Don't change anything about it just yet. Just observe your breath as it is right here and right now. Notice if your inhales and your exhales have a rough quality or a smooth one or something in between. Notice if your breaths feel shallow or if they feel deep. Now start to lengthen your breaths, finding full, deep inhales and complete exhales. You can breathe through either your nose or your mouth or a combination of the two, just finding your breath. Big inhales, full exhales. And as you sit here and breathe, just a note, if it is uncomfortable for you to sit with your legs crossed, you can always take your legs out straight instead, maybe even tucking something underneath them for a little bit of comfort here. Or again, sitting on the edge of a chair is a great option as well. As we continue to find those deep breaths, take your arms along your sides, palms facing out, fingertips pointing down toward the floor. And let's inhale, take those arms up. Exhale, hands down through the center. Inhale, sweep the arms back up. And exhale, hands through the center. Let's take 3 more full deep breaths. Along with that movement, let your breath guide the length of your movement. After that third breath, let's take your right hand down, fingertips or hand resting on the floor next to you. We'll inhale, take the left arm up overhead. And on an exhale, coming into a twist, your left hand moves towards your right leg. Right hand moves toward the ground behind you. It's coming into a gentle twist here. It's more important to have length and height in your spine than it is to have a deep twist. So if your twist looks a little more shallow today, there's nothing wrong with that. And with an inhale, untwist, facing forward again. We'll bring those left fingertips to the ground next to you. Now you're not trying to get your hand flat on the ground. You're just doing whatever it takes to kind of ground that hand and still find length in your spine. Inhale, the right arm comes up. And exhale, right hand to left leg. Left hand can support on the floor behind you. And with your next inhale, untwist, coming forward. All right. Still finding that length in your spine. Let's take your right hand back to the ground next to you. We're inhaling, left arm comes up and over into a little bit of a side opener here, so that right hand can land in whatever spot feels supportive. Make sure that right shoulder is feeling soft and not being pressed up towards your ears. We're keeping that down and soft. The elbow is soft as well. And your gaze wherever it's most comfortable for your neck. And inhale, work your way back upright. We'll just continue on. Left hand comes to the ground next to you. Right arm up and over. Same thing here, keeping that left elbow soft. That left shoulder soft and away from your ear. Gaze wherever it's comfortable for your neck. And inhale, find your way back upright. Lengthen that spine, nice and tall. From here, we'll move to a tabletop position on your hands and knees. So if you are sitting on something like a block or a blanket, you can set that aside for now. Find your way onto your hands and knees. This can be done using your chair as well if kneeling is not feeling nice on your knees today. You can do it on a chair standing with your hands on the chair seat. So here in your tabletop position, either on your feet or on your knees, whichever you choose, we'll move through some cow and cat, some dynamic movement between two poses. Inhale, arch your spine, lift your hips, lift your chest. Exhale, round that spine, coming into cat, tuck the chin, tuck the pelvis. Inhale, back to cow. And exhale, round to cat. Go ahead and flow between these two poses at your own pace, letting your breath lead the movement. And we'll do that 4 more times. And after the 4th round of cat and cow. Come into a child's pose, so knees out wide, sitting back towards your heels. You can either stretch those arms out, or you can stack your hands or forearms and allow your forehead to rest on those arms. And here, let's inhale, come back up to your tabletop position. In tabletop, if your wrists are ever feeling tender, you can just walk those hands forward a bit, making that angle a little easier on your wrist. That is always an option here in tabletop. From here, we're going to engage through that midsection of the body, so drawing your belly button up towards your spine, almost acting like you're tightening a belt around your waist, so getting all of those muscles in the core engaged. Nose will continue to point at the floor, right between your hands. We're moving into a little bit of a balance pose, as well as a little bit of a core pose, so kind of getting the midsection of the body warmed up. Start out, step your right hand forward. Fingertips are resting on the ground, kind of tented here. Then straighten your left leg, so opposite hand and foot. You can hang out right here if you like. Your next options are to lift your right hand, fingertips face forward, thumb toward the ceiling. Or you can lift your toes off the ground, flexing that ankle so your toes point straight down. Again, making sure to keep engaged here, keeping the gaze at the floor is going to help you find that engagement. The final option being lifting hand and foot at the same time. On your next exhale, let's take that hand and knee back down to the ground. If you like, you can sit back for a moment, make some circles here with your wrists. And find your way back to your tabletop. Start out, step your left hand forward. We'll straighten the right leg. Here, again, you can lift your left hand, lift your right foot, or lift both. And exhale, take that hand and knee back down. You can sit back again, make some circles with your wrists. And from here, working our way into a downward facing dog. So coming back briefly to tabletop, we'll walk hands toward the top of the mat. Really make sure that the weight in your hands is toward that pointer finger and thumb here. Plant the hands. Here we can lift the knees off of the ground. If your hamstrings, if the back of your legs are feeling tight, just give those knees more bend. Find your breath. And bring those knees back down to the ground. Find your child's pose, sitting back towards your heels. Again, arms can remain stretched out. Or can bend your arms and support your head. And from here, we'll come back into your downward facing dog. So hands come back to the top of the mat, actively gripping the floor with your hands. Lift those hips, keep the knees soft, especially if there's tightness in your lower body today. And walk either your hands towards your feet or your feet towards your hands. Whatever it takes to find your way to a half standing forward fold. So taking hands to the front of the legs, lengthening the spine, nose points down. So keeping that neck as a continuation of the spine. And with an exhale, sink in further, coming into a standing forward fold. If you want to make a little extra room here for your forward fold, you can walk your feet out wide like your mat. Hands can rest, backs of the hands on the floor. Clasp your hands to opposite elbows. Let your arms hang heavily. Or you can keep those hands somewhere on the front of your legs. Try to soften your neck and soften your knees. On your next inhale, you can press those hands into your legs. Lift partway, take your gaze forward. Then as you are ready, arms come up overhead into an upward salute. And with an exhale, hands come down to your heart center. You can walk up toward the top of your mat here. Inhale, take your arms back up overhead. Exhale, so hinging at the hips, leading forward with the chest, coming into a standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. And exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up, come back to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll do 2 more rounds of this half sun salutation. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, hinge at hips, lead with belly button and chest into a standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, sink. Inhale, sweep the arms up, back to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hinging at those hips, sink down. And inhale, sweep the arms back up. Exhale, hands to heart. And one more time, arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, sweep those arms up. Back to standing, upward salute. And exhale, hands down to heart. From here, we'll come down to the floor. So find your way onto your mat. Come to seated and then onto your back. We'll have knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Make sure those shoulders are feeling comfortable. Draw the shoulder blades down your back here a bit. Take your arms out into a T shape or into cactus arms, whatever is the most comfortable for you here. We'll come into a twist. So pick those hips up. We'll shuffle your hips over to the right so you can easily drop both knees to the left. Your gaze is up at the ceiling or over towards your right hand or elbow. With your next inhale, take your knees back toward the ceiling, as well as your gaze. Take a breath or two here. Give your spine a moment to even out. And then, as you are ready to twist to the other side, lift those hips, shuffle them toward that left edge of the mat, and then drop both knees to the right. Your gaze either up at the ceiling or over toward the right hand or elbow. With your next inhale, take those knees back toward the ceiling, hips and feet supported by the floor. You can take those hands to rest on your abdomen. Now bring the soles of your feet together. The knees fall out wide. Let your eyes come closed here. Hands can remain supported by your abdomen, or the backs of the hands can rest on the floor. Now bring those knees back up toward the ceiling. Feet resting flat on the floor again. You can choose to keep your feet flat on the ground here, or take those knees into your chest. Give them a little squeeze. Maybe rock a little bit here from side to side. Then bring those feet back down to the floor. We'll straighten your legs. If you'd like to have something underneath your knees here, that's a great place to support your body. Hands can again rest on your abdomen, or backs of the hands rest on the floor. And take 5 full, deep breaths here. After that final inhale and full exhale, take your arms up overhead, point your toes, a full body stretch from the tips of the fingers to the tips of the toes. And then find your way back up to seated. You can roll off to the side and press your way back up. You can come to a seat on a block, a blanket, a chair, whatever you like for support. Legs can be crossed or straight. Let your hands rest on your legs. Allow your eyes to come closed. Chin can tuck toward the chest just slightly. Take a moment to think of 3 things that you are grateful for. Something as simple as your favorite candy, to a person in your life, a concept, a work of art. Whatever makes you happy, think of 3 things that you feel grateful exist today. And if you'd like, you can take your hands together at your heart. Take a full inhale, and as you exhale, bow forward ever so slightly to close your practice today. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'll see you next week.